Before we start, I just want to say that the reason as to why I look like this is because I just got out the shower and I can't find my blooming hairdryer. So this is what you're stuck with for today. Anyways, I wanted to make this video just to tell you a few things that I wish that I knew when I first started studying in my GCSEs. This isn't like a step-by-step guide like how to make a study schedule. It really isn't. There are so many more videos out there for you to watch if you want to have, a bigger look at that. But yeah, I know what it's like to look at all of those videos, try to find something that works for you, which is kind of what I want to talk about here. Knowing what works for you and how to know what works for you in order to help you actually make that study schedule that hopefully you're actually gonna stick to. The first most obvious tip is to really know yourself, and what I mean by that is to really look at yourself, look at your study habits and think, are you gonna make that schedule and are you going to stick to it? Are you really gonna make that Notion board? Are you really going to make all those PowerPoints for every single subject and every single lesson? Are you going to do that? If you are going to do that, if you know that you are somebody who actually can stick to self-made timetables, that's brill. I know that I can't stick to a self-made study schedule because I know that I can just change it at any time, and that just sort of puts me off. Because it makes me think, I don't actually have to do this, do I? I could just change it to make my hours go a little bit later. So you end up like not really sticking to it because you know that it's something that you can just change yourself. I'm really horrible at that. Obviously it's different with like school timetables because those are set for you and like you have to do them. But self-made timetables, if you're not good at sticking to an actual schedule like I am, try to have like a set amount of time that you have to study. See if you can do about an hour of studying a day. This hour of studying could be any time of the day and you can take as many breaks as you want. However, you do have to have that amount of studying add to an hour a day. I mean, really, what I really do is just sort of stick on a Pomodoro timer and see how much I can actually do. If it's over an hour, brill. But if it's not, just try to push yourself to do a tad bit more. You can always push yourself to do a tad bit more if you really want to, but don't go over the edge. Not going over the edge then leads us into our next point of knowing your battery. You know those like social battery enamel pins? You know those things? I have one of those, but label it as a study battery instead of a social battery. As you're studying, maybe like every hour or so or every 20 minutes or whatever, bring that little notch down just a tiny bit. Make sure that you actually align it with like how you're really feeling and like how long you actually feel that you're gonna keep going forward. Because if you don't, then what's the point of trying to study so much more when you know that your battery is in like the red area? That is when you know that it is time to take a break, it's time to do something fun. Maybe you've done enough studying for the day, have a rest, and then see where your battery is then, see how long you can actually keep going. This was suggested by my very good friend Hydrated Fishy. He gave this tip to me like when I was like struggling a lot with sort of overworking myself when it came to studying, and I'm very grateful for this tip. Yeah, it's good to know. It's good to know how much you're capable of doing. Okay, so the next point is to know your overall daily routine first and then put your study hours in. Don't like have this schedule in your head where you're going to do like 5 hours of studying a day. It's just like a massive block, and then you're trying to work out your daily routine like around those hours. It's going to be like a little bit harder to actually step into when you try to follow that schedule. When you're actually making that schedule, map out your daily routine first and then see where are the spaces that you can put your study hours in. It's just a lot easier to get into if you have your routine first and then your study hours. Okay, so the next tip, this one's a really fun one, is to have a designated study drink. But you can only have this drink when you're studying. And the reason why this is, when you're studying, as you're drinking that drink, your brain then associates the taste of that drink with whatever you're studying. And this is why you should have a drink that is easily accessible in school or something that you could take with you. When you're revising that subject, like when you're going over it for a test in school, if you're drinking that drink, your memories from that revision associated with that taste, those associations are then coming back to you as you're revising, as you're drinking that drink. If you're curious, my study drink is a mix of orange and fruit squash. And this is why I recommend having something that is like easily accessible in school, like a drink that you can take with you in like a water bottle or whatever. Or you can even have like small snacks. Like I know that some people take like fruits with them to school, like to have like whilst they're studying, which is pretty nifty, I think. Final point is to actually know your style of studying. Are you more of a paper person? Are you more of a digital person? Sometimes you can be a little bit of both. Like, that's what I do. What I normally do is that I get a book, like a textbook, and then on my Notion, I just keep on making notes on there, but I'm also highlighting stuff like in my book as I'm doing it. Although one thing that you do have to know when you're making a schedule, or like when you're figuring out what kind of study method you like, is sometimes you're going to have different study methods for different subjects. And I remember getting like really angry at that, like when I first started studying my GCSEs. I really wanted to study my subjects all in like one way and like one method. But then like all the resources kept on being a lot more different, or the, you know, sometimes I didn't have the materials I needed. Some teachers held up PowerPoints and some of them didn't. And it was really hard to actually like find like an actual like way of studying. Again, that's because I didn't know. Sometimes you're just gonna have to do that. It even kind of frustrates me now, if I'm being honest, like even if I'm doing my A-levels and I want to have like one way of studying, which is why I'm trying to sort of have this like textbook and Notion method, because you can have textbooks for like anything, for any subject, which is why I'm just using that. But yeah, know what works for you, and the best way to really do this is to start studying as soon as possible, not to stress you out. If you've already been studying and like you know what you like, you know what works for you, great. But you know, try different things, you know? Have you tried making PowerPoints and then teaching that PowerPoint to your plushies? Have you tried making flashcards? Have you tried drawing on a whiteboard? Have you tried past papers? Again, it can be different for every subject depending on what it is and depending on what that subject actually requires. In summary, just know yourself, know what you're capable of doing, know what works for you. And again, best way to do this is to start studying as soon as possible. Not necessarily as often as possible, because again, you don't want to overwork yourself. And the more that schedule works for you, the more, you know, the more that it'll turn out. The more it'll turn out okay in the end. The more you'll be able to get through it, because you made that for you and only you. Whatever you're studying now, you know, I hope that you find something that works for you, and I hope that you get the most out of it, and I hope that when you really try your best, it all gets given back to you. You know, what goes around comes around. Take care of yourself, and I mean take care of yourself like properly. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video. Again, good luck in whatever you're studying. Bye.